very bubbly and outgoing child. I loved to talk to everyone and do pretty much anything I could. I grew up a pretty normal life. I have an older brother, an older sister, and I kind of just followed them around my whole childhood. I started noticing in middle school, I was uncomfortable in situations I faced nearly every day, like getting onto the bus. I loved school. I took the bus every single day since preschool. But I started noticing my hands were sweaty, my stomach was cramping. What was this feeling? I don't know. It kept happening. I called my mom. Mom, I don't feel good. Can I stay home? So I stayed home. It happened again. And week after week, I kept making up excuses because something in my body was telling me, do not get on that bus. So I didn't. I started to miss a lot of school. This was detrimental to me. I ignored it, thought I was being dumb. A few months later, I was going out with my friend and her mom. They jumped out of the car, and I stayed in to tie my shoes real quickly. It was about 2 seconds that I was in the car by myself. And in those 2 seconds, my life changed. I reached for the door. Click, 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 click. It was locked. In that instant, this fear came across me like nothing I've ever felt before. It felt as though every single cell in my body was yelling to get out of that car, and I couldn't. They heard the screams and ran over, unlocked the car. I jumped out gasping for breath, and all I could hear them say was, "What just happened?" I don't know. I later learned that was my first panic attack. A panic attack is a thing that starts in your mind. Our chemicals are imbalanced, and it causes my body to not understand when to go into fight, flight, or freeze. Now, everyone's experienced anxiousness before. Anxious about a test, anxious about public speaking. This is a common thing we all feel. I don't know why I was so anxious in situations that shouldn't be causing me any of this feeling. A panic attack is physical. It happens so quickly. From 0 to 100 in just an instant, it feels like you're dying. It feels as though your body is being set on fire. It's so hard to describe to someone who doesn't have it, but that's kind of what it feels like. That feeling in your spine when you're walking through a scary haunted house and you know that that jump scare is coming, but it just doesn't ever come. That feeling in your spine of that fear is what I feel pretty much all the time. After so many panic attacks, and every single time they get more intense and intense, I realized I had panic disorder. Panic disorder is a mental illness. Yes, I have a mental illness. And I bet a bunch of you did not know that about me. But the stigma around mental illness is incredible. Why is it okay for me to have a broken arm or to have the flu, but it's not okay for me to have panic disorder? Panic disorder ranges from old teens to young adults, but doesn't limit to. I was diagnosed when I'm 11. I was 11 years old. I felt so alone. Why was this happening to me? Why me? Turns out I wasn't alone. Panic disorder is scientific. We all have these things in our brains called neurotransmitters. They control our emotions, our moods, and our feelings. I have the same ones you do. Mine just work differently. I will have more of one than you do in the other. It's an imbalance in my brain that causes a misunderstanding. That normal feeling of fight or flight is a regular human reaction. If you're in a life-threatening situation, you will freak out. My body doesn't know when those life-threatening situations are. I could be sitting in a classroom, and my body triggers and might feel as though you do when you're being chased around your house with a knife. Not exaggerating. Now, when it starts to get bad is the panic cycle. Panic disorder can strike at any moment. I once had a panic attack at school. This made me scared to go back to school because I was scared to have a panic attack in front of these people who did not understand and did not know what I was going through. Oh, the girl who just freaks out for no reason? Why is she crying? Why is she shaking? We're sitting in math class. I felt alone. I was scared. I didn't go to school. This just caused fear of another one. Say I have a panic attack sitting in the car with my dad. I'm 11 years old and now I'm scared to get in the car with my dad. This is what it's like. This is when it starts to interfere with your school, your mood, and your relationships. Personally, I had one at school, and I missed so many days. Undiagnosed panic disorder is the root of many other mental illnesses. Agoraphobia can happen from panic disorder because you're so scared to leave the house because you don't want to be judged or you don't want them to think that you're crazy. It leads to other things. Depression. Why me? It's sad to think that you're the only one, but it turns out you're not. 6 million people have this disorder. You may have never heard of it before I came to talk to you. 6 million people in the United States alone. That's a lot. At some point in your life, you will experience or see somebody going through something like this. And it's your job to help. Now, not just panic disorder, but any mental illness out there. You feel like that is you. For a very long time, I thought I was just fighting to not freak out for more than an hour. Just go to school, try not to freak out, go home and go to sleep so you don't freak out anymore. That's what it felt like. Turns out I'm a lot more than that. I might have panic disorder. I have a sister. I have blue eyes. I have allergies. And I have panic disorder. Don't let your mental illness define you. It's not who you are. Now, it doesn't just have to be panic disorder. But it's super important that the people around you understand at least somewhat of what it feels like. You will eventually come across somebody who is having a panic attack. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. There are 6 million people in the US alone. We all live in the US. At some point in your life, you will meet one of those 6 million people. Now, it's your job to know as much as you can and to be there as their support system. Try not to use logic. This is not a logical disease. The whole entire part of this disorder is I have irrational thoughts and irrational fears over something that's not there. You saying, there's nothing to be scared of. I know there's nothing to be scared of, but I'm sitting in the back watching someone else control my mind and click that button to freak out. I have no control. Do not try to distract them. Personally, I think it's kind of offensive if I'm freaking out and someone's like, oh, look, the sky's pretty. Cool. I feel like I'm dying. Accept my feelings. Understand that you might have these emotions, but in a different situation. Put yourself in their shoes. They think that their life is being threatened. You literally feel like you're having a heart attack and someone is squishing your heart. And people are like, why is she freaking out? Doesn't make you feel great. Now, I'm super outgoing. I'm a dancer, I'm a performer. I spent most of my life on the stage. No one would expect me to be the little anxious one who keeps having panic attacks. Turns out it can be anyone. You need to be sensitive. Not just panic disorder. Anyone could have anything. Panic disorder developed in my life. There's not one thing, one situation, the way I was raised that caused it. It just happened. And it can happen to anyone. Do not tell me to relax. I can't relax. Trust me, I've been trying for the last 5 years to relax. That is the worst thing you can possibly say to me. If I could relax, I would do it. It's all in your head. It is all in my head. It's a mental illness. And that word is so stigmatized, and there shouldn't be any reason that it is, because it's just like being sick. It's okay to have the flu. It's okay to have a panic attack. Now, not everyone will experience mental illness in their life, but everyone will experience nerves, sadness, happiness. It's bound to happen. There are so many people out there who struggle with disorders like this, and you need to be that support system. Know the symptoms and be ready to help. Information is understanding. That's why I'm here. To inform you my story so you can further expand and get rid of that stigma that is around mental illness. People are the only ones that can do it. Get them professional help. Yes, you can be there for them. You could support them. You could love them and care about them all you want, but it is a disorder. If someone was fighting a physical disorder, you would bring them to the doctor. Why is it different from mental illness? Write it out. Now, this is specific to panic attacks and panic disorder. They typically last from 10 to 30 minutes. There's nothing you can do to stop it. They are bound to have a full panic attack, and there's nothing that you can do. Sit with them, let them freak out, let them talk to you, and write it out. Don't judge them. I cannot emphasize this enough, how frightened I was growing up with this disorder. Oh, what if I freak out in front of her and she doesn't want to be my friend anymore? And what if I start crying in the car so she doesn't invite me anymore? And all these thoughts, I felt so alone. But with the support system I had, the therapist, the psychiatrist, the medications, I came out of it stronger. Yes, I still have panic disorder, but it doesn't affect my life anymore. Be that support in someone's life. Thank you.